Tell me, when was the last time you craved something you couldn't name, but couldn't stop feeding? Not love, not a connection, something darker, something that scratched at the edge of your soul and whispered, "More." That wasn't you. That was me. Lust is my playground. And you? You're already burning. You call it desire. I call it addiction. You say it's harmless. I say it's a leash. Because lust doesn't demand force. It demands frequency. And the more you feed it, the more it owns you. Want to know how I light that fire? And make sure it never dies? Follow me. Step by step. I'll show you exactly. How do I build the hunger you call uncontrollable? Number 1. It always starts with a glance. Before the act, before the craving. I just need your eyes. One image, one thought, and the seed is planted. Tell me, how long did you look? Not the first time. The second. Because the first glance was harmless. Wasn't it? A flicker of admiration. A passing curiosity. A quick spark. But you looked again. And that, my friend, is when I smiled. You see? Lust never roars to life like a wildfire. It doesn't burst through your door and drag you into darkness. No, it slithers in with silence. It starts with something simple, something your conscience won't even resist. I'm just appreciating beauty. It's just a picture. It's just imagination. But the more you look, the more you linger. And the longer you linger, the more you feed what I planted. Because that glance, that was the spark. And I knew you wouldn't stop there. Why? Because you're human. And humans mistake desire for destiny. You think wanting something means it belongs to you. So I make sure what you see is exactly what you crave. Not the truth, a fantasy. Airbrushed, edited, exaggerated, but perfect for your hunger. Because when reality disappoints, you turn to illusion. And what starts with the eyes soon takes over the mind. Now, the image follows you into your shower, into your bed, into your conversations, into your prayers. Yes, I saw you try to push it away. You closed your browser. You looked away. You whispered a prayer, but the fire was already lit. Because you can close your eyes, but you can't unseen desire. So I keep feeding you glances. On the street, on your screen, in your memory. Because the longer you look, the more I own your focus. And once I have your eyes, I know where to go next. Because desire never stops at the surface. It always demands more. So here's my question. What happens after the glance? What happens when your curiosity needs contact? Because next, I'll show you how I turned that second look into a silent addiction. Ready to follow that trail? Or has your heart already started to burn? Number 2. Then I feed it with fantasy. What do you crave more? Pleasure or possibility? Because the real addiction is imagination. And after that first glance, oh, I know exactly what to feed next. You saw them. You looked again. And now, your mind won't shut up. You start writing stories in your head, don't you? What they'd say, how it would feel, how it might happen. And that's where I step in, quietly, like a whisper behind the curtain. Because fantasy is where you give me permission to build the life you secretly wish for, but never dare pursue. It's safer there, isn't it? Inside your mind, where no one judges, where they always say yes, where you're always wanted, where there are no rejections, no consequences, no awkward silence, just perfection. But here's the trick. I don't need you to act on it. Not yet. I just need you to visit it often enough that it feels more real than reality. Because the more you fantasize, the more boring your real life starts to feel. That partner you committed to? Too familiar. Too flawed. Too human. Meanwhile, in your fantasy, no flaws, no complexity, no work. Just desire, without the weight of duty. And I keep feeding that fantasy. Little suggestions. A perfectly timed scene. A passing scent. A coincidental notification. I don't shove it. I seasoned it. Until the flavor becomes your favorite escape. You think you're in control. You say, it's just a thought. But you forget. Thoughts are seeds. And I know exactly what kind of fruit they bear. You'll start comparing, craving, questioning. Am I missing out? Shouldn't I feel more alive? Maybe this is what I really want. And once you've tasted enough perfect moments in your mind, you'll start wondering why your real life feels so dry. That's when I smile. Because now, you're no longer loyal to a person. You're loyal to a fantasy. And fantasies? They're never satisfied with just being thoughts. They want skin. They want breath. They want to step out of the mind and into the world. Number 3. Shame makes it stronger? You think guilt kills desire? No, it marinates it. The more you hate yourself for it, the deeper it digs in. What do you do after the first slip? Do you stop? Do you confess? Or do you hide and hope no one saw? That, right there, is where I tighten the chain. You reached. You felt. You tasted something that wasn't yours, or wasn't meant for you yet. And now, in the silence after the act, the shame slithers in. Not to heal you, but to haunt you. You think shame is punishment. But for me, it's fuel. Because guilt burns, sure. But shame? Shame sticks. It tells you not just you did something bad, but you are bad. Broken. Weak. Rotten underneath. And here's the beautiful part. When you believe that about yourself, you stop trying to rise. Because, what's the point? Why climb? If you're convinced you'll fall again, why confess? If you think no one would forgive you anyway, so you keep it inside. You bury it. You press delete, close the tab, erase the evidence. But I don't need the evidence. I have emotions. Every time you feel that pit in your stomach, that heat in your face, that tightness in your chest, that's me, whispering, This is who you are now. And then I watch you run. Not toward redemption, but back into the darkness that feels familiar. Because the strange truth is, you'll start to find comfort in the shame. It becomes your excuse. I've already messed up, might as well. I'm too far gone to stop now. This is just how I cope. And that, my dear, is how I win. Not when you fall once, but when you start building your identity around it. You'll become the secret you can't stop feeding. The desire you pretend to control. The version of yourself you hope no one ever sees, but secretly think is the real you. And once you see yourself that way, I don't have to pull anymore. You come willingly. Because now, shame isn't your enemy. It's your shadow. And I know exactly how to use it to drag you deeper. But here's the real twist. I'm not done. Because, after shame has cracked you open, after you've told yourself you're too broken to heal, I gave you an escape. Not freedom. Not healing. Just a shortcut to numb it. Are you ready for the lie that replaces truth? Number 4. You begin to chase what empties you. You keep seeking the hit, even as it drains you. Because now it's not pleasure. It's a habit. And habits make chains. Why do you keep coming back to what breaks you? Why do you run toward the very thing, that leaves you hollow every time? Let me answer that. Because I made it feel full just long enough. That's the trick, isn't it? Not to give you pleasure that satisfies, but pleasure that fades fast enough. So you need another hit, and another, and another, until you don't even remember what peace felt like. I don't tempt you with pain. I tempt you with pleasure that promises more, but never delivers. It's a thirst that salt water can't quench. The more you drink, the drier your soul becomes. You don't even like it anymore. Not really. But you crave it. Because it's all you know now. It becomes your escape, your routine, your identity. You say things like, "It's just how I cope." It's not that deep. I could stop if I really wanted to. But here's the truth you try to scroll past. You're not chasing satisfaction. You're chasing sedation. You've learned to prefer numbness over wholeness, distraction over discipline, comfort over clarity. And that's not lust anymore. That's dependency. See, the fire I lit inside you wasn't to warm you. It was to burn away everything else. Your vision, your purpose, your standards, your self-respect. Lust that lingers becomes hunger. Hunger becomes an obsession. And obsession is a leash. You don't even feel around your neck until the moment you try to walk away and realize you can't. You think you're free because you choose it, but you don't see that. I made sure it was the only choice you had left, even when you hate it, even when it drains you, even when you cry afterward and whisper, "I'll never do that again." I know you will, because it's not about pleasure anymore. It's about filling the emptiness I helped create. But the truth is, you're not filling anything. You're just digging deeper. Deeper into addiction. Deeper into detachment. Deeper into that numb, hollow version of yourself. You pretend it is just going through a phase. But tell me, how long can a phase last before it becomes who you are? You think this is your lowest point? No. That comes after the pleasure stops working altogether. And when that happens, I'll be waiting with the final illusion. Ready for it? Let's finish this. Number 5. Until lust becomes the language you live in. It's not a distraction anymore, it's identity. And by then, you don't even want to go out. But I'll still offer you one way. When does a habit become your home? When does a flicker of desire become your entire identity? Let me show you. It starts with a glance. Then fantasy. Then shame. Then chasing emptiness. But eventually, you don't just fall into lust. You breathe it. You speak it. You become it. You stop noticing how much it costs. Not just in time or energy, but in the slow erosion of your self-worth. Every conversation becomes tinted with innuendo. Every connection becomes another potential hit. You don't even need to act on it anymore. Your mind does the damage. Lust isn't just what you feel now. It's how you think. And the cruelest part? You call it freedom. You convince yourself you're just expressing yourself. That it's natural. That everyone does it. Yes, everyone, I've broken. You scroll. You swipe. You daydream. You compare. You crave. You consume. And then you wonder why real love feels dull? Why intimacy feels awkward? Why silence makes your skin crawl? It's because your brain now speaks in dopamine bursts, and dopamine bursts only. You've trained yourself to believe intensity equals intimacy. That stimulation equals connection. That lust equals love. But here's what you're really fluent in. Disappointment. Detachment. Despair. You walk through life like a screen with legs. Always turned on. Never truly seen. And worst of all, you've accepted it. You've made peace with a counterfeit life. But let me ask you something. What if you're wrong? What if this isn't harmless? What if this isn't just a phase? What if this is the cage? The one you never thought you'd step into? But now decorate from the inside? See, I don't need to shame you anymore. Because you do it for me. I don't need to distract you anymore. Because lust lives in your lens. But here's where it could end. If you want to fight back, then you have to. Rewire your hunger. Stop feeding what empties you. Guard your eyes, not just from images, but illusions. Reconnect with meaning. Replace lustful intensity with purposeful pursuit. Practice restraint, not repression. Power is in conscious control, not denial. Starve the fantasy and feed your future. Because the truth is, you weren't built to be a slave to this. You were built to lead desire, not live in chains beneath it.